Okay, so welcome everyone. This is a workshop basically on how to learn how to learn. And I am your instructor. I am Delta. I have been inventing faster ways to learn skills for the last 10 years. And basically what that means is I tinker. I try lots of new things and I try to understand what's going on. I've found a bunch of different things that might be interesting to all of you. So, hmm since most people here have picked practical, I'm probably going to start with the practical folk. And blank, you are going we're just going to do like 5 minutes of practical instruction or 10 minutes, and then we'll join you in. We'll plug you in. Okay.
Sounds good.
Yep. Cool. So before we start, I am curious. What is your all like? I would like to know what you guys understand, or like what you guys expect from this session, from this class. And please put it in the chat so I can tell, so that everyone can say something at once. Like, what am I offering to teach you all? Okay. Okay. Blank. Okay. All right then. So it seems like the basic view that everyone basically has is that I'm going to be teaching you how to learn in general. And yeah, this is correct. Like James wants to learn how to do proper rigging. I don't know I don't know programming or 3D modeling or rigging or 3D sculpting, but I know how to teach and I know how to learn. So the practical method that most of you have chosen is basically you're just going to pick the thing that you want to learn, and for if anyone is brave enough, they're basically going to share their screen and they're going to try to learn their skill of choice for 5 minutes, and then we're going to evaluate how you guys are learning. Okay. All right, so I'm going to start a timer and you have 10 minutes. Go. If you don't want to share your screen, then just keep track of what you're doing so that you can later you can later tell me what you did. Me? No. Hmm. Maybe I'll stream some music or something. And now I'm going to talk to blank specifically. When the 10 minutes are over blank, we're going to delve into some theory of how to learn. And you'll get a chance to just understand some of the basic ideas.
All right.
And then we are going to have another try. You'll have a chance to try and practice whatever I've said.
Okay.
Okay, that's the 10 minutes. If anyone needs to wrap up, I'll give them a few more seconds. But yeah, okay, is everyone ready? Okay. So anyone who's tried, you know, just learning their skill of choice for 10 minutes, I'm curious now, and whoever decides to talk first will get the podium. I'm curious, like whoever tried something, whoever tried to learn their skill. I'm curious what you tried. Like, what was the your step by step recollection of what happened?
Okay, I'll go first.
Please go. Yes.
So I switched to drawing instead of coding. So what I did though, I went on because I couldn't do anything. Like all my sketches were bad, so I wanted to know how to be good.
Yes.
YouTube. I saw a video. What's the first thing that I need to do when I need to learn drawing? And one of the pathways was learning how to do. So I practiced some line strokes, and then eventually I got bored of line strokes, and I wanted to make something. I started drawing boxes, and but then my art is still bad. So I didn't do anything for 2 minutes. For the last 2 minutes, I just stared at the piece of paper. That's pretty much it.
Okay. So like you watched a tutorial that touched like was trying to teach you how to improve at drawing,
Hmm.
and it told you to practice strokes. So that's what you did. You got bored and you tried to draw boxes, and then you got bored of that too.
Hmm. Pretty
Okay.
much. Or I will to say I got demotivated because they still looked bad,
Yes.
so I didn't want to do them anymore.
Mm-hmm. Makes sense. Okay. Does anyone else want to chip in?
Yeah. I looked at sample code from one of my friends and trying to see how they came up with the code and to understand what each part of the code meant. And yeah, I was basically spending the whole 10 minutes looking over the code.
Okay, I see. So like you tried to analyze someone else's code and you tried to understand like how they made it and how like what each part did, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyone else? Okay. So I'm guessing nobody else has something to say about it, which is fine. Oh yeah, okay. Remy, you broke down the basic UI. Okay, so Remy's program is 3D sculpting. You broke down the a basic UI. What does that mean? Break down the basic UI. Okay. Oh yeah, okay. So like you were trying a program that you haven't completely mastered yet, and you broke it down into parts, and then you decided to only learn a specific part of it, which was like the brushes, and then you watched like a video or two about the specific thing that you want to make. So you tried to follow a tutorial. All right. So we've been here for almost 30 minutes, and I'm going to assume that we have around an hour. Okay. So let's get you guys some feedback. And here's where probably I'm going to rope blank in, Mr. No Name. So here's a question that I don't expect any of you to answer, but it's sort of a rhetorical question to get started. Yep. So there are many definitions for what a skill is, but I'm not going to take one from the dictionary because I've made my own definition. But I think you guys will agree when you hear it. So like if you just consider like examples of different skills, like for example like bike riding or drawing or programming, what all of these are, they are sets of intuitions about which choices get the results that you desire. And when we say sets of intuitions, what we mean is that when you look at someone who performs a skill, or when you have a skill and you look at yourself performing it, if you're good at the skill, you just do things automatically and you get results without thinking about it too much. And an example of something that's maybe like not a skill is something like, for example, I don't know, like a rock, or I don't know, like a house, right? Like these are things that like don't involve making choices at all, and they don't involve chasing a particular result. Okay? Now, the reason I mention this is because there's only one thing that is necessary or required in order to learn a skill. And again, this is not something that you will find in any book or any tutorial, any course on how to learn a skill. But nonetheless, I have noticed that this seems to be the only thing that you need. And the only thing that you need to learn a skill, to improve at a skill, or let's say improve 1 unit of skill improvement, like make one unit of skill improvement, because like you learn a little bit one day, and then the next day you learn a little bit more, and if you chain together a bunch of days of learning, eventually you become skilled, maybe you become a master, right? But like for a single unit of skill improvement, what you need is novel and accurate feedback. Okay, I'm gonna put this in the chat. Novel and accurate. All right, and a skill is a set of intuitions about which choices get the results you want. Okay, and you need novel and accurate feedback. And if you get like I don't know, like a few rounds of novel and accurate feedback, you might become skilled. If you get a ton of novel and accurate feedback, then you become a master. And this is basically what I am. I have taught for over 10 years. And every single time I am I am like learning, like I mean every single time, that every single instance of me teaching has involved some new element to it. Okay? So this is like the novel part of novel and accurate feedback. It's like, for example, in this session, I am teaching using a completely new element. I have multiple students here, and I have given them a choice. I have given them the ability to decide how they want to learn. Like you can choose like a practical style or a theoretical style or an observational one, right? And I've done this with when I have like one or two students, but I've never done it when I have five or six. Okay? So this is the novel part of novel and accurate feedback. I've tried, well, maybe not thousands, but hundreds of different things. And every single class, I try something new. If you don't try something new, uh, it's less likely that you're going to learn, you're going to improve in a significant way. You might become like more efficient at doing the thing. Yes. So novel, just novel is basically new. You have to have some new, like add a new twist or a variation to the thing that you are trying. So let's consider, like for example, like drawing, right? Which Saint tried to do. So for example, like he practiced strokes, right? And it's we I don't know currently whether practicing the kind like specific kinds of strokes that Saint was doing was new to him. But maybe like one way to get novel the novel part of the equation done is to just try a new way to practice strokes. Like for example, I don't know, like you could practice strokes with a pencil or a pen or a I don't know, like a digital pen maybe. Okay? Or maybe with his finger. Like maybe he can dip his finger in some ink and try to draw with his finger. Just practice strokes with his finger. Yes? Or maybe, like maybe he is like just using a pencil, but he draws circles one day and he draws boxes the next. Or maybe he draws circles that are slightly lopsided, or maybe more that are more round. Try something new. So that's the first element of improving at a skill. Okay? Does anyone have any questions about that? I'm curious. I am guessing that's a no so far. Is that right? Okay.
Uh, no.
Go ahead.
Could you explain how would you know if something is becoming more repetitive than being novel? Like, say you're practicing for a long time, how you can tell if it's just you getting more efficient or if you're actually improving, like getting new information.
Yeah, so basically this is the second part of the equation. Novel and accurate feedback, right? So feedback just means uh like trying something and making sense of what happened and why. If you go back to the definition of a skill, right? It has two parts, right? Choices and results. You try something and you get a result or you don't get a result. And getting a result and making sense of it is called feedback. Like for example, I don't know, uh so Saint for example was drawing, right? And he practiced strokes. And he like probably used a pencil or a pen or some sort. Maybe he tried using digital stuff. Maybe it was analog, physical. Maybe he took a pencil and he drew on some paper, right? And he probably was trying something that was slightly new. And then as soon as he got some sort of result on the paper, right? He got a result. And then feedback is just understanding how close is this to the result that I want, ideally. What does it look like to succeed at drawing or drawing, let's say, like strokes? How do I know whether I've drawn a perfect stroke? Okay? So that's novel and accurate feedback. And we can understand a few things from like how Nogus was learning to program that fit into this model. So Nogus was she was analyzing someone else's code. And what that does for her is she builds a mental model of what code successful code looks like. She was trying to understand, like, like, what's the ideal result, or what is at least a good result. And she was trying to understand, okay, maybe what things can I do in order to create code like this. She was trying to understand what it meant. And this prepares her for a feedback loop, for later on trying to program and comparing what she does to what she saw in her friend's code. To what extent does any of this make sense? I'm curious if anyone has questions.
So what I'm hearing or what I'm understanding is that we need to, when we're in pursuit of this skill that we're learning, we need to
Yes.
try new things, and we need to, well, have a goal of what we're trying to achieve, and constantly get feedback. Well, we'll get feedback once we do the thing, but
Yes.
keep trying new things to get towards the goal.
Yes. Like when you try something new, you compare the result to what your goal is, and you say, how close am I? What's the difference here? And that's feedback. And if you're making a good comparison, that's accurate feedback. And
Hmm.
now here's the thing, right? When it comes to, so like that basically describes learning or improving at a skill, gaining intuitions about what are the right choices. And there are a couple of things that are interesting about this. So sometimes we already have intuitions about how to do something, but maybe they're not very good, right? Then we sort of just have to try the same things that we've tried before, but we need to understand them in a different way. We need to compare them to a better model of reality, of a better model of the goal. Make sense of the thing that we are trying in a different way. And then we create a better intuition. So that's one way that like learning can look like. And the other thing that is kind of interesting about learning is that you can choose how quickly you learn. And like someone who I don't know, like if someone is trying to learn how to code, for example, they are like if they know like something that which if they know the thing that I'm about to tell you today, they can learn 10 times faster than most people, around that number. Maybe faster, maybe a little bit slower, but they can learn just much faster and get an edge over the other people. And what gives someone an edge in improving at a skill and doing it quickly in a very short amount of time is how long the feedback loop lasts. Or like
I have a
designing.
question.
Go on.
So let's say for that scenario where, let's say you give a task to two people. Let's see, a mundane task like scooping ice cream, right? We are tasked with making 100 cones by the end of the day. Both persons don't know how to make ice cream, right?
Yes.
So you're saying, and both have a manual, right? A manual of what to do.
Yes.
So one person who just follows the manual
Yeah.
step by step, not deviating, and the other person that looks at the outcome and tries a new thing and how to scoop it each time, or how to get the perfect ratio. Them trying more and new things each time, they will succeed or understand deeper, and eventually be better than the other person that's just trying to follow a rigid scheme or.
Yes. So
Hmm.
both people are going to be learning or improving at the skill, but one of them is headed for just being skilled, and the other is headed for mastery. the one who's following the manual, he's learning how to get a result in one specific situation, in a very controlled sort of set of circumstances. Now, a master is someone who basically can just put themselves in a new situation, or maybe under like a lot of like a very difficult situation, let's say, and still get the result. Like for example, if someone were, let's say, I don't know, like fuck, if like suppose that like programming is the skill, or drawing, let's say. Like someone who is skilled, he maybe is like, they're okay at it. They know how to get results. Maybe, maybe they use like, maybe they use ChatGPT for it, right? And like, like maybe, or like maybe they know a few formulas for building code, for writing code. That like that's just gonna be, let's say that's the baseline. That's gonna, like, someone who's skilled at that thing, at programming. Then we're gonna have the master who's gonna be able to do, like, write, get the result, but they're gonna be able to do it just in lots of different circumstances. For example, maybe they can live stream and they can still program without getting stuck. Maybe they, like maybe they can code in an interview with some very difficult problems, or maybe, like maybe they can like program in a very noisy environment where it might be difficult to concentrate. And being able to do well, regardless of the circumstance, is what makes a master separate from someone who is just okay at it. But you basically have to try lots of new things in order to do that.
I I understand, but at what point do you start trying new things?
At
For
what point? You
example,
can basically start as soon as you want to.
okay,
Yeah,
I actually agree on what you said. I agree on your statement.
cool. So, what I was going to say before, which was like how you learn faster, is basically you find a way to make the feedback loop shorter. Like you have to find a way to get feedback faster. Like some people take like an hour before they get obtain feedback on how to do something. Like they try something new, let's say, but they just keep trying new things and they never reflect on what they have done and how close it is to their goal. What's the comparison there? They don't do that, right? They just wait a day or two. They might never get feedback. Like for example, okay, like suppose that someone like was wanting to be really good at their job, right? Um, how often are they like asking the people around them, maybe their boss, how productive do you find me? If they ask their boss, how productive is my, has my work been so far? Within like 60 seconds, no, sorry, 60 minutes of, like, just starting the job, right? They're going to get feedback of some kind, right? But then there's going to be like someone who just never asks that ever because they don't know about feedback loops. And they're eventually going to get feedback, like maybe they get fired because they aren't very productive or they're not very cost efficient, right? And so you have someone who like is learning much faster than the other guy. And the guy who gets fired eventually is going to learn. He's going to hopefully, like the next time he gets a job, he'll do it a little bit better because he knows what he got fired for. But then you have the guy who's asking for feedback every 60 minutes. And that guy is going to become very, very good at his job very quickly because he's asking his boss, his manager, how am I doing? How good am I doing? And he's adjusting, trying new things to see whether he can please the boss or become more productive. And in the case of programming, for example, if you can find a way to get feedback every 5 minutes, you're going to learn much, much faster than someone who's getting feedback every 60 minutes or every 2 days. And all that it's about, like, suppose that like it takes like 100 feedback loops to become a master. 100. Or let's say 1,000. Suppose it takes 1,000 feedback loops to become a master. Then, well, like you can get those feedback loops, do those feedback loops in, I don't know, like a year or 10 years. and both people will have the same like level of skill. It's a matter of how quickly can you do feedback loops that are accurate and novel. So that's like a bit of the theory there. Yeah, and I believe. Let me see if I can watch this here. Okay. So blank. We now have a bit more time. How much more time do we have for you? With you?
I'm not sure how long the lecture is, how long you need.
Well, like I can basically go all day if you want me to. So like how much time can you give me?
I'm free for the next hour.
Okay, that's cool. So now that you've gotten a bit of theory, you have a couple of options here. You can try to just summarize what you heard, or you can we can give you another challenge, an exercise, for you to learn the thing that you're doing and just try to sculpt or carve, maybe craft a tight feedback loop for yourself. Which of those would you prefer? We can do both, but maybe it's about
Mm.
the order.
Let's try both.
Okay.
What was the first one?
Do you want to summarize what I said?
Yeah.
Okay. What's your best understanding of what you heard? I'm curious.
Okay. So first, you started off with defining what exactly a skill was, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, which you said is a set of intuitions. Um, right, right.
Mm-hmm.
So intuitions being things that you don't have to think about.
Yep.
You can. It's like a feeling or conjecture you make from getting experience with something, right? So how do you develop this intuition? And you develop that by getting novel, consistent feedback, which you said. And in order to get that novel, consistent feedback, um, you should practice um, using methods where you. So what I took from that, right? For
Mm-hmm.
let's say I'm doing. So I do procedural modeling, right? So for me, how I could maybe implement this into my workflow would be um, taking instead of trying to watch a tutorial or read a
Yep.
book, I can maybe look for something that already exists and already has a process for it,
Mm-hmm.
or a specific workflow that already exists, and I can try to recreate what they did, looking at the final result and trying to solve the problem and maybe compare what they did at the individual steps.
Okay. Fantastic.
That so
Mm-hmm.
I can I can use that because normally when you have to do a 3D model or something, you'd break it up into steps, right? You'd get some kind of base and where you have your proportions and everything correct, and then you would have your um, detailing, and then you'd go polish it. So maybe instead of waiting till you've already solved all of the problems and everything, and at the end, maybe during, I can go and see different methods of solving the problem or just testing things out a bit
Yes.
more.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
All right. So if anyone's been paying attention, I am curious. Like you basically have two options here. You can either reformulate what No Name said, if you agree. or you can try and improve on what he said. Does anyone want to have a go at that? Okay. Now, the reason why and I guess I'll say this real quickly. The reason why I'm asking if anyone wants to reformulate is because obtaining feedback or giving yourself feedback can sometimes mean having a theoretical model inside of your head for improvement so that you can understand what you did wrong and why it was wrong, for example. And reformulating things helps us store it in memory. But, I will also be recording this session. So if anyone wants to, I just send the recording to you once we're done. Okay. So now I guess we're just going to do another challenge, another exercise. Okay. So here's the challenge. And before I issue it, how much more time do we have, guys? How much more time can you guys stay? Oh, I guess I also have to answer Remy's question. Can people please tell me in the chat how long? Yeah, okay. I got a while. Do we have like another 30 minutes, maybe, James? Okay. Nagas, do you hear me? Okay, perfect. All right. So we're going to try another, we're going to do another feedback loop right now. And, okay, so the challenge here is that you're going to try to build or design a feedback loop for the skill that you want to learn. And we will just, yeah, like maybe like open a notebook maybe or some pen and paper and try to design a feedback loop, and then you'll share it with me, and we'll analyze it. We'll see how good it does. I'll answer Remy's question that he asked like 5 minutes ago. So Remy asked, "What should I do when learning isn't leading to improvement / feedback?" So if you're consuming content but you are not improving, if you're like not getting better results, well, you just have to examine the feedback loop. Like some part of it should be broken. So, for example, um, well, there are many parts. Like, suppose that like you are engaging in learning, then maybe what's broken is your understanding of the goal of the result that you want isn't very good. Don't really understand what you want. Then like that's going to put a cap on your skill level. Like for example, I don't know, like maybe someone like I don't know. So suppose that someone wants to improve at chess, and well, in chess, if anyone who plays chess here, like anyone who plays chess here knows that like we have ranking in Elo in chess, and some people get stuck. They plateau at say I don't know, like 1400 ranking in chess, and they can't improve. Like they can keep trying things, but they're not improving, right? What's going on there is that they don't understand the win condition of chess well enough. They have a win condition, an understanding of the goal of chess that is good enough for 1400, and they can't get to 2000 because they don't understand it well enough. Like, for example, like some people, like beginners, think that the goal of chess is like, like capture as many pieces as you can from the enemy, right? That leads you to maybe like 1100 elo in chess. But some people understand that like that's not really the goal. It's really checkmate, and so they improve up to, I don't know, 1800, let's say. But then, like actually there are many ways to win at chess, or many acceptable outcomes. So for example, I don't know, like you can checkmate the opponent. You can also cause him to resign. You can win because the opponent ran out of time. You can win because uh, you know um, like tons of things. And there are many ways to understand those win conditions. Like you can break them down into factors, let's say. um, like what things usually cause a checkmate and stuff like that. Or maybe if you're learning how to program, like you really need to understand what's the point of programming. What does it look like when I'm good at this? Maybe it's, yeah. And I don't know how to program, so it's difficult to build a win condition that makes sense for programming. But that's basically the idea. Yeah, it's a little bit different, yeah. Like having okay, like for example, suppose that you're trying to get good at I don't know, like you want to like build a YouTube audience, let's say, right? A very short feedback loop that would be consistent with this sort of exercise that we're about to do is like some most a lot of people who are in YouTube, they try to get skilled by making 10-minute videos because, oh, they think, well, the algorithm requires that I make 10-minute videos, right? And making a 10-minute video when you're a beginner takes like a week, right? But if you wanted to build a faster feedback loop, you could build YouTube videos in like that are like, I don't know, like shorts. You could build like 1 minute YouTube videos and do like make a ton of 1 minute YouTube videos, and you'll learn lots of things about how to edit videos, about how to script them, etc., etc., etc. And then once you're good at making 1 minute videos, once you like build an audience with that, you can try to move to 2 minute videos or a minute and a half videos, and then you gradually expand, and you'll be making 10-minute videos that are awesome, much faster than someone who just started trying to make 10-minute videos. So that's the sort of thing that we're trying here. Okay, so I'm gonna give you a timer. Let's say, I don't know, 10 minutes, and I want you to design a feedback loop that is as short as you can. That should work for your skill of choice. Okay, is everyone ready? Okay. Black is ready. Nugs is ready. Remy, are you ready? Okay. Yeah, it sounds like your mental model of the feedback loop isn't very good. Is that correct, James? Is that what you're telling me? Can you help me understand? Okay, and so just so we're not waiting for James, I'm going to start the timer, and James, you can help me understand a little bit. I'll go back and forth with it on. I'll go back and forth with you in the chat. Okay, starting the 10-minute timer now. So it's been almost 5 minutes, and James, well, he told me that he didn't really understand. So I'm just gonna repeat what I said to him. It's in the chat, but in case anyone needs a little bit of help. The goal here of this task is to find a way to improve at your chosen skill, whether it be programming or drawing or sculpting, that is really, really quick. So, say like 5 minutes is quick if the baseline is 60 minutes. That's the task description. And the method that I'm hoping you like, the general method, the general approach for that sort of thing is to design a new thing that you could try for your skill and find a way to quickly give yourself feedback on that attempt. And like once you have like that, like that attempt and feedback pattern set up, you need to try to optimize that make and see loop so that it takes 5 minutes instead of say like 2 hours. Okay. Okay, that's the 10 minutes. I'm gonna give you guys another minute so you can wrap up if you're, yeah, if you got something interesting going on.
Thank you.
Yep. Okay, that's 10 minutes. If anyone needs an extension, let me know and I'll extend it for you. Okay, so maybe the basic mechanism for giving you guys feedback is like if you wrote down your feedback loop or what's the idea of your feedback loop, just post it in the chat and we'll see it and we'll try to analyze it. Okay, that's good notice.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Great. This was quick. Yeah, to
Um,
show. But anyway, so I have these two things here, right? I'm not sure how well this gets displayed.
yeah, I'm trying to display it to
Um,
everyone. Is there, if anyone can see it, that would be good. Yeah. Okay.
I think I can screen.
Yeah,
Hold on.
I put it into full screen so that everyone can see it. I think. Okay. All right. So introduce us to the idea, please.
Okay, so this over here, the short block, is my current workflow, right? Where I'd grab a reference,
Mm-hmm.
do a basic block out, detail it, and then render it, and then I'd go get some feedback
Mm-hmm.
at the end,
Yes.
right? So this isn't well planned, but what I'm trying to include in it is these arrows right here,
Mm-hmm.
where I try to go back and forth and try to improve on what I make here all the way back here
Mm-hmm.
before it's at the end, so I can gather references and compare what I've made right here with the reference and then continue and still compare again.
Mm-hmm.
So the reference what I make with the industry standard, so I can go and see what the professionals are doing
Yes.
and try to compare it, taking notes from where my thing doesn't line up with theirs
Yes.
and make adjustments to
Yep.
then go final render back to making adjustments, and at the end again should have some like post project third party feedback at the end.
Yes. So it sounds like you tightened the feedback loop. Like how long is the feedback loop? The original feedback loop. Feedback loop.
This could be a month
Okay. Yes. And
versus this.
mhm.
This can happen in the first day,
Wow. Yep.
and then again first day, and then going back and forth. Because throughout, even though it's like this,
Yep.
throughout the process, you do go back and forth each day.
Yes.
multiple times, which is
Hmm.
why I say I'm trying to get back and going.
Yes. And with the second, you do check every time, like every time you do a little step of the process, but the whole thing, like how long does it take to until you get to third party feedback?
Here,
Yes.
it would be the same as here, where it would be a
Okay.
month. Third
So
party would be
yeah.
like right now me showing you something and saying, "Hey, what do you
Yes.
think of this?"
And
Yeah,
does third party feedback see the entire thing that you did, or like all the internal mechanics of it, or do they just see the finished product, the outside of it?
this they see the end result.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think this is an example of a good feedback loop, or like a good tightening, a good optimization of feedback loop, right?
Yeah.
You're getting more chances in there to get feedback. You might, yeah, it's more likely that you will improve faster in such a thing. Okay. Anyone else? So while
I have a question
yes,
for
please
you.
go for it.
Do you think it would make more sense to have more third-party feedback, asking someone about things earlier in your process, or
Well,
should that be more at the
it
end?
really depends. So is third party feedback is the third party an expert in is like are they better than you at say like the basic block-up proportions or the I don't know are they an expert at each step of the process, or are they only capable of appreciating the final result?
Oh, I see. Because I'd say sometimes I have someone who does not know anything about what's going on during the process, but they know what a good image should look like.
Yes.
Or sometimes they might have an expert.
Yeah. So for example, if you have someone who does this thing better than you, who can do it better, they have better methods or whatever, right? They will be able to give you accurate feedback, or the more accurate feedback than someone who is like can only like has an appreciation for the final result. So that's the
Yeah.
accurate of the part of the novel and accurate feedback. It has to be accurate to the end result that you want, the level of quality that you aspire to obtain.
Mm,
Yeah. Any further questions?
none for me.
Okay. If you have any other questions, if you come up with something later on, you can just tell me. Yeah. So I think Remy is sharing their screen now. So let's. I'm gonna put it on full screen if everyone can see Remy's screen. Okay. All right. So Remy, can you explain what we're seeing here? I almost get the impression you don't have a mic because I'm not hearing anything. Yeah. So if you don't have a mic, I'll try to break down what I see on
Hello,
Remy's
do
screen.
you hear me?
Wait, is that you speaking, Remy?
Yes, do you hear me?
Yes, yes, perfectly. Please describe what we're seeing here.
Sorry, I might close my mic in a bit if my family is nearby.
It's okay.
Um, so the way I put it is that I have the basics of the UI interface of the program.
Mhm.
I'm lacking the basics, like what brushes do I have to use and stuff.
Mhm.
So I would have to start with this first.
Yes.
Then I would look for tutorials and stuff,
Yes.
small goals, small projects. I would compare it to the tutorial,
Yes.
and if I find anything off, I would investigate it. And if I don't have an answer, I will go and ask for sculptor feedback.
Mhm.
Someone who actually sculpts then I would experiment and adjust it. Then I would practice it.
Okay, I see. Right, and how long does this usually take, or how long do you suppose that this might take?
Uh, I have been learning it on and off, and I can't take the grasp. I can't grasp it. I feel it's like something big,
Hmm.
like a big skill that I only picked it because it's so hard, and I dislike it.
Okay, I see. And
So it would take some months.
okay.
But I keep getting obstacles, and every time I watch a video or a tutorial, I keep
Hmm.
finding stuff that I can't do or not matching.
Yes. Hmm.
It may take months
I see. And I
till I get
assume,
to one.
like by the way that oh, he's that's a good question. Blank. I am familiar with tutorial hell. I'm curious if Remy is familiar with tutorial hell.
I mean,
Methods for coming out of tutorial hell. Yes, yes, I do have methods for coming out of tutorial hell. So, one of my favorite methods for coming out of tutorial hell, which is not something that I mean, yeah, course hell. Is this for what skill is this, by the way? Programming, right? Uh, no, he's three D modeling, 3D modeling course hell. Okay, so the way that I okay, there's many ways to get out of course hell. One way is to just try to work on a project, and not a project that is assigned to you by your course. Try to just do a project that is useful to you in some way. And you can use ChatGPT to try and generate a useful, a useful project for yourself, and try to do that. That's one way to do it. The way that I prefer, I'm a very theoretical learner, and I like very difficult challenges. I like to increase the difficulty level to like impossible and try to do it anyway, and see what happens. But one of my favorite methods for getting out of course hell is to invent my own theory of the skill. Invent my own theoretical understanding and try to make it better than whatever is out there. And that's usually when I get, yeah. And if we had more time, I would probably like maybe if you guys are interested in like another workshop, I can probably show you my methods for building your own theoretical framework, your own theoretical understanding of the skill of a skill that you're trying to learn. Um, yeah, spoiler alert, it's hard, but you can use prompting to make it easier. Yeah, we can do another workshop. um, okay, so should I try and give you some feedback, Remy?
yes, sure.
Okay, so I'm noticing that your feedback loop is not very specific. You're trying to build a general feedback loop to like so that you can reuse it later.
This is just for learning.
Yes. Okay, and it's yeah. All right. So okay, so this is what I would suggest. Okay, this seems to me like a deficient feedback loop, and the reason why it's deficient is because we don't have an estimate for how long it's going to take, and it seems like it could take just infinite amount of time. If so, estimating the time it takes is important. and maybe this thing takes, I don't know, like 2 hours. Try to find a way, try to like just brainstorm a way to reduce it all to 5 or 10 minutes if you can. And sometimes that's difficult. So you make it, try to make it a little bit longer, you know? Minutes, 5 to 10 minutes. I think Remy speaks Spanish. Is that correct? Or no?
No.
Okay. Um. All right. Yeah, 5 to 10 minutes. Sometimes you can do feedback loops in 1 minute. um, like something that I like to do. That's crazy, but yeah. When I invent my own theoretical models, I can put them inside of my head, and like my theoretical model, my theoretical models, they're very simple, and at the same time they are very complete. That this gives me the ability to memorize my theoretical understanding, and then I can just try new things and immediately give myself feedback. Like for example, I was learning how to play first-person shooters. I'm not sure how many of you are familiar with video games, but I was trying to get good at first-person shooters, and I built my own theoretical understanding that was like encompassed part of the game, which was how to, like I figured out that I wanted to die as less often in my first person shooter, and so I was like, okay, what I need to do in order to do that, uh, roughly, basically, like one of the things that like is necessary in order to die by say like someone shooting at me is like the opponent needs to see me. If I am invisible, they cannot shoot at me and expect to kill me or hurt me. So I basically need to see them before they see me if I want to defeat them. And so this was my theoretical understanding of first person shooting, how to survive. And so every time I got killed in my first person shooter, I would tell myself, okay, the reason why is because my opponent saw me before I saw him. And when I respawned, I intuitively tried something new. And when I did eventually die, I gave myself that feedback of like, well, the reason why I died is because my opponent saw me before I saw him. And I improved quite a lot with just a few iterations of this feedback loop. Yeah, I think it was enlisted or something like that. That's a World War II shooter, and like I did like just a few iterations of this. I think I did something like 30 to 40 of these, and all of a sudden I started to go to like the top of the leaderboard. These are like big multiplayer shooters, and I started at the bottom of the rankings, the number of kills, or kill to death ratio, and I rose to the top, and after like 30 or 40 feedback loops, and I plateaued at some point because I wasn't trying to improve my mental understanding of enlisted or that first person shooter. But that's an example of like how you can build a really quick feedback loop.
All right.
Like sometimes I would just die instantly, and then I would understand. Okay, well the reason why is because yeah. Okay. So Nagas, your your feedback loop. There's nothing to say about it other than that's an excellent feedback loop. Yeah. So does anyone else want to share their feedback loop, or is this a good place to start giving me feedback? I think we just have James. Yeah. I'm not sure if James gave us a feedback loop. Okay. So you can share your feedback loop with me, And we're starting to just end the session. We might have like 10 or 15 more minutes. But if you do not finish it yet, just send it to me on Discord. And yeah, send it to me in Discord. Or send it to, I don't know, the founder. Or like ask the founder how to get in touch with me. I'll give you feedback on your feedback loop. Yeah. Okay, so we're sort of nearing the end of the session, and because I want to improve as a teacher, I am curious, does anyone have feedback for me? Like, I would ask, for example, like some of the questions I would want to have answered is, how productive do you guys think this session was? Or how fun was it? Or what did you like? What did you dislike about the session? Any bit of feedback is useful. Dislikes or likes or anything. Even stuff that is not in the format that I'm suggesting.
Mm, I'd say one. Um,
Yeah.
at the start of your presentation, I was a bit confused.
Yes.
It's normally started, but maybe I came in. I think I came in late, but I didn't get a what was going on, kind of,
No, I don't think you
with
came in late. I
a
don't think
start
you did.
screen or something was going on. So I was a bit confused. That's it.
Okay. So can you help me understand what was the confusing bit?
Of what exactly we were going to do is what
Okay,
I
so
was confused.
I'm not sure if you I think I asked at the start of the session, what were your expectations of what I was offering to teach? Do you remember that I asked that or no?
Yes, I do remember. Yes,
Yes.
I
Okay.
was
And
confused at
you
the very beginning of what exactly was going to
yes.
happen.
Uh-huh.
That was a bit confusing for me. That's the only thing.
I see. Yes.
Because I haven't attended anything similar to this.
Okay, so like
It's how to do this, not really how to learn how to learn, you know?
But well, hold on. So like you when I asked, when I asked, what did you expect to learn from this thing? You said you expected to have a more optimized method of learning, right?
What I got, but it's just I haven't been in any similar
Okay, I see.
to.
Yeah. So like what do you describe was your what I'm curious how you would describe the session we had.
I'd say it's very eye-opening.
Okay. But
And
what type of session was it? How would you describe the type of session?
what do you mean type?
And so like was this a class? Was this a lecture? Was this a workshop? What or something else? What was it?
It was a workshop, as in it wasn't a class that one side information from one side. Is more project based, which
Yes, I see.
is like a workshop.
I see. Yeah. Okay. Maybe I'll try to make a better impression of that next time. Yeah. Okay, thank you for that. That's very useful. I have 3 unread messages, so let's see what everyone else is saying. I felt like a prep session.
Check
James, yeah.
the screen share.
Yeah. So, James, I'm curious. Can you help me understand? Can you tell me about help me understand what you mean by preparation session? I think he's making a comment basically on what Blank said. Yeah, I think that's what he's saying. Yeah, I basically like the way that I do these sorts of courses or lessons is that I don't want to just give information. I want to guide people to practice. I want them to actually improve. And it feels like it needs a follow-up session. Ah, interesting. Okay. So I'm going to I think the session went pretty well. So what I'm going to do is I am going to. Oh, you like it? Okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to talk to the founder, and we're going to schedule another session next week. And we'll try to do a follow-up. And it's possible, yeah. Do it at the same time. Can you help me understand what that means? Same starting time. Like, did we not all start at the same time? Oh, okay, yeah, I see what you mean. Yes, we'll do it. Yeah, we'll basically reschedule at this session at the same time if everyone is fine with that. Next week, maybe the same day too. I see. Yeah, this is okay. I'm glad to hear that this is better for you. Okay. Can you help me understand what about this way of teaching is specifically that you like? What's special about it? Hmm. Yeah, well, you like the practical version of teaching, so it makes sense. Yeah. Yep. Agreed. I mean, I sort of get the same impressions here. Does anyone else have feedback for me? Or does anyone who has already given me feedback have more feedback? This is my feedback loop, by the way. This is the end of my feedback loop. I've taught and now I'm getting... Yeah. You liked it? Huh. What did you like about it? What makes you think it's great? Just curious. Intellectual curiosity here. You felt like you can actually use the information. Okay, well, we'll... Like, if we have a session next week, and you do show up blank, I would like to see whether you like. I would be curious whether your opinion changes before we start the next session. Yeah, like whether you used it or not. I think you will. I'm very confident that you will be able to use the information. Yeah, that would be very interesting feedback. Okay. All right. I enjoyed teaching all of you. Oh yeah. Okay. Great. Like more specific techniques and personal experiences and skills you've learned. Huh. Yeah. It's a little bit difficult to like fit in a lot of content into like an hour and a half. But maybe we'll get to have several sessions, and then I can just share more specific techniques. Like for example, maybe next lesson I will share a little bit about like what my feedback loops look like. Yeah, you can have my Discord. I'm ASCII Delta. That's my Discord. Yeah. Yeah, my nickname is it looks like a triangle. I'm a delta, basically, a Greek letter. Yeah. So and yeah, specific techniques. Yeah, and I will maybe I will share my specific techniques next time. I'm sort of Remy. I'm sort of getting the impression, maybe I'm wrong, that you knew a little bit about this already, about feedback loops and stuff like that. Is that correct? How accurate is that? Okay, well that's good to know then. Yeah. By the way, like sharing specific technique. When I shared lots of specific techniques, that's usually when I am doing observational learning. Like sometimes, yeah, sometimes, like for example, when I am teaching people how to teach a skill, if they pick the observational style of teaching, then I will just teach them for like 30 minutes, and we will stop like for 5 minutes. I'll teach them for 5 minutes, and then we'll just like analyze every single detail of what I am doing, and you get to accumulate a ton of techniques there. And I suspect that if you pick the observational style, uh, maybe like you would watch me, you would get to watch me learn a skill, and you would pay attention to, like, you would collect a lot of skill techniques for doing that. And so yeah, if you want to like learn a ton of specific techniques, maybe what you can do is next session, when like we give the emojis, or to help you like select if you want to do observational or practical or theoretical. If you pick observational, I'll basically do a demonstration of myself learning. Yeah. So that's the sauce. Yep. Cool. So I look forward. Okay. Does anyone have something to say? I felt like someone raised their hand. I'm not sure. Okay. All right. So I guess that's the end of the session, and it's up to you now. Like, we can hang out for a little bit, or you can. I'll stop the recording, and we can either hang out for a little while, or we can end the session. It's up to you. I'll stop the recording.